everybody. I just got out of the preview for Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. I'm trying to see how to make this light work well. I'm not parked under one of the lamps out here in the parking lot. I just got out of the media preview. There was actually a packed house there. There was a lot of people who had passes and stuff. It was kind of fun. If this is the kind of movie it's more fun probably to see with a full house of people. I saw the first Jurassic World movie and didn't like it very much. I honestly didn't like this one that much either. But here's the thing: my review is generally kind of meh, but I also feel like I have to temper it a bit because of the fact that I am a Generation X person. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. So my biggest criticism and a lot of a lot of my peers who were there, when we get done with the movie, we go up and we talk to our contact person and let them know, hey, there's always somebody here to sort of check us in when we get here. A lot of times, like tonight, I had to wear a bracelet. I already took it off. And that gives you access to the media chairs, and you don't have to wait in line if the house is filling up. They sort of make people wait to see if there's enough seats for people to get in. Obviously, there's reserved seating for us. So you go through that motion, and then when you leave, the courtesy is to also give your first impressions. It's probably one of the reasons why I was encouraged or had the idea to do this kind of thing in the first place, was the idea that I'm always sort of put in the position of having to come up with something like literally just 100 feet out of my chair. Somebody's waiting right outside the doors to take a note and get a quote from you. I think that that a lot of what my peers were saying essentially was that this movie was sort of infuriating. I mean, I'm going to use that word. People seemed infuriated. I didn't feel infuriated exactly, but I did feel like the movie was hampered by the fact that there's a whole lot of stuff going on that we've seen before. I mean, there's scene after scene after scene that we've seen before in these Jurassic Park films. Now, why are they still making Jurassic Park films? Well, it's because the Jurassic Park movies are built on very solid foundations, okay? The Jurassic Park movies are monster movies. We love monster movies. The Jurassic Park movies are about sort of the Promethean sin of man taking creation into his own hands. Classic Frankenstein shit. I mean, these are solid cornerstones to build a sci-fi universe on. What else is there? There's the actual advent of genetic engineering and stuff. We're living in a genetic age that we don't even know the ramifications of yet. We probably don't even know the scope of it at this point. I don't want to get into my conspiracy theories here, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, we certainly live in a world where if you even try to keep up with what's going on in science, at least once a week, you're going to come across a news story that makes you just go, what? What did they just figure out? Or what did they just discover? Or what did they just invent? So it's there's lots of reasons why we still are interested in these films. And the special effects, of course, are incredible. And, it's to some degree, that all those elements combined with action, I mean, it's a winning formula, you know what I mean? And of course it is. And let's celebrate it. And there's no one who would rather see a great new Jurassic Park film more than me, especially a great new Jurassic Park film with Jeff Goldblum in it. Jeff Goldblum has always probably been my most favorite element in the whole franchise. I love his character. I love the sort of mad scientist thing that he brings to it. I love the way that character acts as a conscience within the universe. Certainly in this film he does. Unfortunately, in this film, basically Jeff Goldblum just sort of muses, using the trope that he's being being, what would you call this? That he's presenting something. He's there to talk to like the Congress or something like this. So he's at a table in front of a group of officials and telling them, what we should be doing regarding the fact that the island from the previous film, when Jurassic World went berserk and all the animals escaped and all the people, evacuated, essentially that island has just been left and nobody's known what to do with it, and now there's a volcano exploding on the island. So there's a moral quandary about saving the animals or not saving the animals. But I want to get back. I got off on the tangent there with Jeff, and it gave me a second to fill you in on the basic plot of the film. But this movie isn't quite the great return to form that we might have seen. And I say return to form because I think, one of the other reasons why we're still watching Jurassic Park films is because the original movie was so amazing, right? And I don't even remember exactly how many of the original films Steven Spielberg directed. But Spielberg, for me, is always at his best when he does genre movies. When Spielberg tries to do big, important film, when he tries to be a big, important filmmaker, I'm being a little bit of a jerk, but when Steven Spielberg goes for that, big important film, generally speaking, he runs into a couple hazards. He begins to become very contrived, and he begins to become overly sentimental. Okay, and I think most anybody would understand what I mean when I say that, unless you're some kind of person who just can't get enough Steven Spielberg. But the same toolkit that results in contrived sentimentality within the context of this big sweeping narrative film, okay, those same tools, for some reason, I want to say they're just sort of limited in a way within genre filmmaking. And within genre filmmaking, I'm using these terms rather loosely and broadly at the same time, so general talk here. In his genre films, he's a badass. He's a real badass. And what I'm saying is, you give me Steven Spielberg and an alien. You give me Steven Spielberg and some ancient artifacts and some Nazis. You give me Steven Spielberg and a big shark, okay, which translates right into, you give me Steven Spielberg and a T-Rex, right? You give me Steven Spielberg within the context of a 1955 Saturday matinee serial, and man, you have got a winning combination. And Steven Spielberg really truly does take that fare and turn it into art. He really, really does. It'd be interesting to talk about Spielberg and Hitchcock in a way. And I mean that in absolutely the most profoundly complimentary terms. But we don't have that here. Okay. So what we have is, we have the solid basis for a great science fiction story every time we come into the Jurassic World, okay, the world of the franchise. But it just goes to show you that not everybody can take those elements and build them into something unique and alive, okay? And this is nothing unique and barely alive, okay? I would kind of say that. It's alive, it's fine. But it's not a thriving animal. It's like an animal in a cage. That's basically what this is like. This is like a dinosaur in a cage, okay? That's what it feels like. It's filled with the broken spirit of a dinosaur in a cage, okay? Maybe that's the quote I should have given him. This movie is filled with the broken spirit of a dinosaur in a cage. So I feel like when the security guards are driving around, I'm worried that they're wondering what I'm doing here. It feels like when the movie is doing its thing, it's got the foundation to build upon. You know what I mean? It's got the space to make something happen. But instead of doing that, it merely repeats a lot of the tropes that we've seen in the other films. You know what I mean? And when it does that, it's I'm sorry, the security guy's driving around, so I'm gonna go ahead and just make my way out of here, because I'm worried that they're thinking I'm doing something weird. So the elements here don't really come together. And this movie is directed by a guy named J.A. Bayonne. I believe I'm saying his name. If I'm saying that wrong, it's partly because I don't know anything about this director. This is terrible now because I know you were having a hard time seeing me, but that's just how it's going to have to be. That helped a little bit. So the elements don't really come together here. But I gotta make this point that a movie like this one that seems to just be repeating the best scenes and the best shots and the best sort of formula elements of the other films in the franchise. We see that a lot nowadays. That's a very normal thing for us to see in contemporary filmmaking where these franchises are concerned, because that's part of it's part of the attraction of making the fifth, sixth, seventh film in a franchise, is that you have a sense of what works, okay? And that's part of what's being paid for here. Somebody who's making yet another Jurassic Park film, they're paying to get another Jurassic Park film, and for them that means I better see some raptors, and I better have someone staring up at a big friendly dinosaur while it eats a tree, and we can just have a moment with John Williams swelling over the whole thing where we're just in awe of this amazing creation. I mean, how many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen, all of a sudden, there's a dinosaur in the rearview mirror or whatever, you know what I mean? How many cars have been chased by dinosaurs, So it's like, in a way, that's unoriginal, but at the same time, it's like, it's really easy to see how those things get repeated and repeated when you're insisting on repeating the world over and over again in these different iterations. It's amazing to come up with one really good film like the Jurassic Park that can take these great sci-fi cornerstone tropes and turn them into something unique the first time. But trying to do that over and over again is very, very difficult. The one thing I'll say though is that just like the Star Wars franchise has done, right? The new Star Wars, the Force Awakens really kind of a remake of Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's very much the same story as Star Wars is. It feels a lot like a reboot and not so much like the next episode, and I think in a way, you could sort of justify some of what's going on with Jurassic Park by saying, hey, we're trying to get a whole new generation of 9-year-olds really interested in this Jurassic World bit, and therefore we're going to sort of retell the whole story here and sort of reboot a lot of the same plot points. And if it seems too familiar to you, maybe the problem is this movie isn't made for 45-year-olds. I'm actually 48 now. I just turned 48 a week ago. You can wish me happy birthday in the comments. But I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the bad rap that Han Solo got. I think I talked about Han Solo on one of my reviews. Han Solo's great. I loved it. I cannot for the life of me understand why so many people were so down on that movie. But I'll tell you why. As I think I said, I think the problem is, the 7-year-old that saw Star Wars wants to see their version of the Han Solo origin film when they're 48. You know what I mean? And you can't do that. You certainly can't do that and also interest a 12-year-old in 2018. That's a huge order. To somehow engage a new generation of kids in these great space adventures, or dinosaur adventures in this case with Jurassic Park. Jurassic World now. It's really a huge task to ask the filmmakers to somehow appeal to 12-year-olds and somehow also make sure that Generation X can still be happy about their favorite dinosaur monster movies that they grew up with. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's really kind of ridiculous. So in a way, I feel like I didn't really enjoy this movie that much. In a way, I'm not sure I was supposed to. So I have a hard time just hating on it because, it's like you're saying this movie wasn't enough of what I wanted it to be, but it was what it was. And maybe, I saw some kids who seemed very excited by the film, so it's really important to sort of, put your expectations aside a little bit, I think. So, I guess what I'm saying is, if you grew up with the Jurassic Park movies and you loved them and you thought they were really amazing, and you understand what I mean when I'm talking about how well, the early movies were made, and how, they've become a bit of a repetitive monster films. They don't really have that special quality that they were able to have at one point. If you feel that way too, and you grew up with these films, you probably should just stop chasing Jurassic Park. It's not really for you anymore. But if you have a kid and they're interested in the movie and they kind of want to see it, and and when they say they want to see the movie, you feel a little bit of a spark of like, oh, cool, that'd be kind of fun. Maybe I can take my kid or my whatever, my nephew or whatever. Maybe we can go see the new Jurassic Park movie together, and maybe we'll really like that, and it'll be something we can kind of share with each other. And maybe I can show him the old movies. Maybe he'll be interested, and that'll be a fun thing for us to share. If that's the situation, I'd say, yeah, go for it. I would say keep little kids away from it. I don't actually even know what the rating is, but I would put it at like a PG, really honestly kind of a PG-13 maybe. That might be a bit much, but like a lot of the Jurassic Park movies, this movie's got some pretty gory stuff in it, and some relatively scary stuff, some stuff for sure, like, you could see little kids having problems, the night after they get home from seeing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So anyway, that's about it. It's probably about time for me to sign off. So have a good time at the movies. I'll be back the next time I see the next preview. And let me know what you guys think about the film. Let me know what you think about the review. Make sure you're getting notifications from my channel when I put these up. I put them up right away. So that way, if you know that my videos are going up because you hit the little notification bell, then we'll literally be talking live. I put these up live. So that's the way to get the freshest fresh. All right. So keep it fresh, and I'll be back soon. Thanks, guys.